What would you do if your financial advisor caused you to lose 250,000 Rand? Now, earlier this week, I received an email from Musa, a government employee that I had helped way over a year ago, and he had decided to move over to another financial planner just a few months afterwards. And he reached a point where he had reported to me a devastating loss of just over 250,000. Hi, I'm Dhevan Naicker, your Retire vs. Resign specialist, and I help government employees like you make informed decisions about your financial future. And I strongly believe in flexibility and control, especially when it comes to your money. Now, if you followed my story, you'll know that I hate seeing members lose money. It reminds me of my dad's experience and when our family had to suffer this loss of over 500,000. So when Musa had reached out to me saying he lost his money, it really hit home. Now, I do believe that we cannot change others, so I'm not looking to see, hey, what can I do with others? I'm looking at myself to see, how do I change from this? What can I learn from this experience? How do I educate members and prevent them from making similar mistakes? Because here's the thing, moving to another advisor or changing investments isn't always the right solution. It can cause you to lose money or put you in a worse off situation. Now, in today's video, I'll share with you the lessons that I've learned from this experience and give you practical steps to evaluate your financial advisor and safeguard your investments. And before we dive in, remember to hit that subscribe button so you gain access to these videos as soon as we produce it. Let us get started. So the first thing that I want you to keep in mind is see this as a relationship, and a long-term relationship, not a once-off relationship. So let's start to analyze how the resignation process works, right? And you would have watched this on so many of my videos. As I've shared previously, you have funds sitting here with the pension fund, and when you're making that decision to resign, especially if you're aiming to go with a financial advisor or financial planner, ideally you are moving your funds to this place, which is an approved fund. And once the money is moved over to the approved fund, you then have that opportunity where you can access your 1/3 and you invest the balance, and you can then start to access the 2/3 income. So 1/3 is your lump sum and 2/3 is your income. Now again, you would have watched this in the previous videos, right? Here's the thing that I want to share with you though. This is, in the very beginning, it is quite intensive, right? Meaning, I've observed this with members. We have more frequent meetings in the beginning. There's so many elements to cover. We've got to factor tax. If you started before 1998, I want to make sure that we can maximize from the pre-98. I want to look at investing. How do we make sure that we're putting everything in the right position, right the first way around, right? And that takes a lot of time. It means regular meetings. It can be very intensive, especially the way that we do it, because we want to avoid any mistakes. We want to know that we did this to the best of our ability. So in the beginning, it does require a lot of time, a lot of meetings to put it in place. However, once all of this gets set up, you pretty much end up with your lump sum, and then you end up with an investment. And that investment is something that you can adjust on a yearly basis. You can choose the income, and you can obviously change where the money is invested, things like that. Now, in the very beginning, there's a lot of things that need to be done because money is moving to the approved fund. There's tax planning, there's the pre-98, there's so many things, right? And also you'll be going through so much because after having worked for so many years, you're now leaving. So there's so much to consider, so many factors to keep in mind there. And year one can be quite overwhelming. However, from year two, it's a lot less noisy because you don't have to factor, again, approved fund. You don't have to factor the 1/3, all of those. You're pretty much only working with your 2/3 investment and then the income that's coming from it. So why I'm saying think of it as a long-term relationship, not a once-off relationship, is if you have a relationship with a financial advisor or planner and you're just thinking that you want this to be in place, in the beginning, anything will do, you agree? And it's very difficult to know the results. It's very difficult to know if you had the right advice or if this thing is really going to go the way that you were advised or not. So this is why if we view it just as a once-off relationship and you change advisors, you cannot really hold the advisor accountable if something goes wrong. It becomes very difficult. However, if you're viewing it from the relationship perspective and long-term, you want to make sure that whoever helped you to set up in the beginning is there with you ongoing, because if anything goes wrong, there's one point of contact, right? That's the one person that was responsible right from the beginning. At the same time, if everything goes right, you know, hey, this is someone that you're going to stick with because you found somebody who's working very well. Let's look at the second thing I will share with you is share your concerns. So continuing from what I just shared on the first point about viewing it as a long-term relationship, it is possible that things might go wrong. We're all human. I even made mistakes when it comes to members. In fact, a lot of the things I know now because I've just made so many mistakes, right? It's countless mistakes. And it's not intentional mistakes. It is what it is, right? It's just a mistake. But every time something happens, I start to have a look at, okay, what can I learn from this? And how do I ensure that going forward, members don't face that situation? So why I say share your concerns becomes important is that key word is relationship. The idea is to build a relationship. So if something is wrong, say something is wrong, or there's something that happened that you don't like, but I don't know about it. I'm not in a position, I'm very good with tax planning and financial planning and this whole process, right, for government, but I cannot read minds, you see? I can't read minds. So I would need you to approach me to say, hey, listen, Dhevan, I'm not very happy with this. I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't understand this, you see? But once I get to know that, once I have that feedback, I can then start to sit with you and have a look at it to say, okay, you're not happy with this. Let's start to look at what the options are. Let's start to look at why you're unhappy. Let me start to give you more options. You see, it's not necessary that you have to use the one that I have presented. You see, we can go through this process. Now, we cannot do that if we do not have the relationship, right? We can't do that if we don't. So please keep in mind, when you're going this route, especially with resignation, it's got to be a relationship, not something that someone's going to do something for you in the beginning and then you never see or hear from them again. And because of it being a relationship, there must be open communication. Something not working out, you want to talk about it. Likewise, if something is going right, you want to talk about that too, right? And that's very important for me. If I'm doing something right and you're saying to me, hey, Dhevan, look, this is something that I really like. I know that, which means in future, I'm going to be paying more attention to that because it's obviously something that's important for you. So second thing that I wanted to share with you. Now, the third thing is look before you leave. And this is the situation that, the member that I shared with you at the start of this video could have done in order to have avoided that situation, right? So here is how I want you to see it. Let's say in the beginning, there's a plan that's getting created for you. This is your plan. We'll call it plan A. Inside of plan A, there would be the following. There would be some tax planning that got done. There would be some investing that got done. You'd also have some type of cost structure that's inside there, right? You know all those, right? Together with your income. And you will also have some type of experience because you would have been in this plan for a certain number of time. Now, let's assume that you want to consider something and we'll call that plan B. Please don't make the mistake that this other member had made by just hopping from plan A into plan B blindfolded. That's going to be a big mistake, right? One, if you're going into something that you don't really know is going to be working well or not. And unfortunately, because we're in financial services, I have seen it, right? Sometimes they're financial advisors, financial planners, not really focused with the best interests of a client. And they want to secure your business because the nature of how income is generated is through commission. So naturally, if you move your business into a solution that they have, they're able to earn some income. Now you want to protect that or prevent that from happening or any losses from happening to you. And the way you can do that is by starting to be a bit more analytical, right? So I gave you some elements to consider: tax, investing, costs, your income, your experience, right? So assuming that you move over to option B, you want to have a look at, okay, in option B, what does the tax situation look like? What does investing look like, right? Where's this money going to be invested? And you compare where the money is going to be invested to where you have your money currently invested. Before you sign, I'm going to say it again, you're going to compare where your money is currently invested to the proposed new investment before you sign, because you can see upfront whether this is going to perform well for you or not, right? You'll also start to have a look at things like the costs. You will start to have a look at, hey, what would your experience be like? So once you analyze these factors, and you can do this before you sign, once you analyze these factors, you can determine whether it's a worthwhile move or not. Now, please, this would apply irrespective of the financial planner or advisor. But even if it's me, if it's you reaching out to me and I'm showing you that you have option A right now and I want to propose option B, I still have to show you all the reasons why option B is better. And if I cannot produce that in writing for you, then you should move. Right? If you cannot produce it in writing, you should not move. Next 2 points become tied up together. It's point number 4, meaning that is indicating that your advisor or your planner is accountable, right? And you want that. There must be a high level of accountability, because assume I'm doing the planning, it means I'm taking the responsibility of whatever is being done. There's also a high level of trust that you are placing in me, right? You're trusting me with this big decision, and I'm giving you the advice, and I need to be held accountable. So this is what ties me into the 5th option, is where you analyze and don't emotionalize. So before you make a commitment with your financial advisor or planner, keeping in mind if something goes wrong, you can go to an ombudsman, right? There are ways in which you can complain. But however, is it really something that you want to experience? You know, you've just got yourself to a point where you've stopped working. You want to go through that pain and frustration of going through that whole legal process? Or would it be better if you just made certain in the beginning, you put the right steps into place so you never have to face that? And this is why I say analyze, don't emotionalize. So before you make any changes, analyze, hey, what are the intentions of the new advisor? What are the intentions of my existing financial planner? See, what do the new plans have that my old plans don't have? How will I be in a better position? Right? You can also have a look at what the experience has been from other clients. Right? This is where you can get reviews done. You can have a look at reviews of other members that were assisted. You can have a look at, do they have testimonials? You can call some of those clients, right? So that way we strip away emotion. It doesn't become emotionally charged. It just becomes a decision that is based on data. It's decision based on information and with the right intentions in mind. I hope the video has been helpful for you. Again, if it has, give me a thumbs up and comment below. Let me know what has been your key takeaways from today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.